So you've already probably heard me talking about know your numbers and setting a goal. So today is about $1 million, but I want you to be realistic about yourself. It's realistic, in my opinion, if you're in the professional services world, construction and product side, that's a little different. Today, we're really focusing on the services side. But if you're even a new company, if you're an expert at what you do and you can get a job, then you can get a subcontract out there in 90 days. It's the same as going to get a job, basically. And so just adjust it down. You can easily be looking at 200,000 if you're just getting started, $1 million or less or something. And if you're 5 million and above, you should be thinking about $1 million. But set whatever goal is realistic for you. From that standpoint, I'm going to go on the fact that we're all going to go after $1 million in the next 90 days, because then all the numbers I'm going to show you are related to that. You need to adjust your numbers as they fit in. So the second number you want to track in here is what's your average rate, your average hourly bill rate. So if you're doing IT services or HR training or any of this stuff, what's your average rate? I used $100 an hour because of two reasons. One is that's a conservative number in the IT professional services world, but also it's a very easy number for me to do the math. And so $100 an hour generally is a $200,000 a year revenue. You can recognize $200,000 a year at $100 an hour. So you just take your hourly rate, multiply it by 2. As you go forward, the next thing you want to do is determine the FTE count to reach the goal, because you're not going to go out and sell an hour and $100 of the 200,000. You're basically, in our world, whether you do consulting or you call it butts and seats, it's the same thing. You're selling the services of a full-time equivalent person. And so what I said here was, in order for me to reach the goal that I want to reach of $1 million, $1 million divided by $200,000 a year is 5 people. There's the 5 right there. But what I did is I added a person in. In project management, we always say, determine how much time and money it'll cost and then triple it, right? So you always be conservative. And so this is my version of doing that. I said $100 an hour in there. Well, what if I get an $80 an hour rate or something? So I'm just adding a whole nother person in there to my numbers to say, I don't need to reach 5 people. I need to get 6 FTEs billable or starting to be billable in order to have that sales goal achieved of $1 million. So hopefully that's making sense there. Do me a favor as we go forward, drive your numbers or know your numbers into the chat. Just let me know you're tracking on that. The next number you want to pay attention to, and this is where it really works down into the deals where you're working all the way back to today. So if I want 6 FTEs, 6 people being billable in order for me to reach that $1 million goal that I'm setting, then the number of deals I need is basically 6. Right? I need 6 FTEs, and so I need 6 deals. Or I could get 1 deal where they give me 6 FTEs. It's less realistic that I can get 1 deal in the next 90 days for 6 FTEs. But it's very realistic that I could get 1 deal or 6 deals with 1 FTE each, if that makes sense. And this is a number that's really important to me, because basically, let's call this number of deals a sale, right? And by the way, if you're not tracking on this, I'm talking about subcontracting. I'm not talking about going out and priming. When I talk about money, subcontracting and priming revenue is the same. It's money coming in. It's all the same. People can debate things in different ways, but when we're talking about revenue, it's the same. Prime contracts are incredibly valuable if you want to sell your company and all that kind of stuff. Yes, there's a lot of value. But if all I'm trying to do is increase my company, if all I'm trying to do is add 6 people into my company who are Amazon Web Service cloud engineers, so I can continue to build up my team of people who are all really good at this, so I can build my company up in that space. Well, then subcontracting or priming is the same. And if you've ever seen me talk about your strategy each year, it should be, as you grow, large subcontracting under a large, subcontracting under a small, and prime contracting. So at this moment, when I say number of deals, it's 6. That's basically number of subcontracts that you land. As you continue to back up, how many prime contractors am I telling you that you need to have in place? You don't want 1, because then you're putting all your eggs in one basket. And what I'm saying is identify 6 strategic prime contractors. And what I mean by a strategic prime contractor in this space is somebody that you have reached out to and established a relationship with, where they agree to work with you. They want to work with you, and then they're just going to figure out over the next 90 days, for example, how they're going to work with you. You're not going in, by the way, just saying, hey, give me. You're going to have a strategy to reach out, develop the relationship, but it doesn't take long for them to put you on an existing contract, because every day that their existing contracts are not fully staffed up, the government is looking at them as if they're not doing the job they said they would do, and they're losing revenue. If they bring you on for $100 an hour and charge the government $125, they're making a profit, or $105, they're making a profit. They can make the revenue off you. So it's not a bad thing. And I'm not here to have that whole conversation. I'm here to have the numbers one, right? So the number of strategic prime contractors I want you to have are 6, because then your goal basically is to try to get one opportunity from each one FTE opportunity from each one of these 6 primes. If you happen to get more from one prime, that's great. You're positioning yourself to potentially exceed your goal, but at the very least achieve the minimum goal of 6 FTEs that you're trying to add in. And so what I put down here as tips for understanding that they're strategic prime contractors is that they must be meeting with you on a regular basis, right? They must put in place an NDA with you, and you're really lucky if you can get them to put in place a master agreement or something like that that's back with headquarters, because I'm going to talk to you about how you reach out to a bunch of people. But you want to get that company to be able to put some agreement in place that they want to work with you, getting you added to a contract vehicle, things like that. Those are tangible step forward or tactical steps that they can take that prove that they're a strategic prime contractor. So backing this up, right? How do you find those, or how do you land those strategic prime contractors that will help you achieve this goal? In this particular case, you want to have 24 introduction calls. And all I'm saying is an intro call is you reach out to BAE and you've got a meeting with somebody over there and you're having an introduction call and you're saying, this is the value we bring. This is why you should work with us. I'm saying that very loosely. There's a lot more tactic around having that, but you're reaching out and having these calls with somebody who is listening to you about, is there a potential for us to work together? I'm saying that when you do that, you're going to have a 25% success rate if you're reaching out to the right people, which we'll talk about in the next section here. But this is outreach, right? This is outreach by picking up the phone, calling somebody and talking to them. When you do that, it's the start of a relationship that you'll have as you move forward. And then the backing that up even further, how do you get started, right? The very first step in this numbers game, when you're moving towards that sales goal that you set for yourself, is to determine the number of people you have to have in a list in your spreadsheet or whatever, this many people with this many phone numbers and emails, so that you can start reaching out. What I'm suggesting is that 25% of the people you try to reach out to are going to respond to you. If you actually are finding the right people and you're the right company, you're matching your company's capabilities to that company, then 25% of the people are going to respond back to you. You're a fit for all 100 of them because you did your research, but 25% will get back to you and the other 75% will just be busy, get buried in the inbox. Very few will actually say no. The reality is way more will just not respond because of life, right? But 25% is what I'm saying right now. You could use this as a number that you can predict that if you reach out to 100 people, basically, then 25 of them are going to schedule a meeting with you. And if you schedule a meeting with 25 of them, or 24 in this case, then 6 of them will want to work with you and say, let's keep exploring this further. Keep in mind, I'm talking about companies that have proven experience in your skill set and within the federal market, right? If you have that, then you're an attractive partner to any other company that's got business with the federal government, because you're kind of a proven entity. There's no reason they wouldn't want to talk with you, right? And if you line it up, what I'm trying to teach you here, and especially with the numbers, is that most of us fail at doing the first 3 steps, which is basically reaching out, right? Targeting and outreach.